Hey there, guys. I got the banner to work finally. I got a little countdown to work before we go live. How's everybody doing tonight?
Shit, real fucking good.
We're joined
Yeah.
here tonight by Diego. He's our special guest. He's got a Steelers cap on, surrounded by some memorabilia in the background. I like it.
Ah,
We know what he's here to talk about. Without further ado, it is we talking about sports. We're back with another live podcast to break down another division before we start getting into the preseason, which actually starts tomorrow. The Hall of Fame game kicks off with the Raiders and Jags. I know people are dying to bet that game now that the Jags just announced that Trevor Lawrence will not be playing, and neither will Etienne. Don't know if that's news, but it's a betting angle regardless. As Josh McDaniels starts his tenure as a head coach of the Raiders, and we just finished talking about them. What was it, last week or the week before?
Yeah,
But-
Carr's MVP campaign starts
Yeah.
tomorrow, baby.
Ben went on a viaje.
Before we get into the AFC North, though, there is a little bit of news that happened, including, one of the guys pictured in this introduction slide with Deshaun Watson being pictured there with a little sweat going down his face. But before we get to that, Marquis Brown just got arrested earlier today for going, I think it was over 85 in a school zone. My whole thing here is school's not in session right now, or at least it shouldn't be, and he still got arrested for this. I don't know. He must have been going way over 85 because it doesn't say the exact speed he was going. But is this news for you guys?
Or he could have talked back to the cop, man. I don't know, but nah, this is a non-story, dude. For real, nothing.
Y'all are being enablers, bro. This is 100% a story. That he was. This happened at 7:00. If he was stopped and arrested at 7:00, practice started at 7. He was running late to practice. Automatic problem.
That's a bigger problem. That's the bigger problem.
Hey, that's part of the problem. The coach probably said, "Lock his ass up." Damn it.
If Lamar's there on time, you got to be there on time.
Nah, he's not even on Lamar's team because he's with the Cardinals. But anyways,
Yeah, I
these
know,
boys are
but
being
I'm saying-
enablers. Y'all are being enablers.
He's not gonna face any kind of suspension for this. I don't think. Just regular speeding fine. Maybe if you hit somebody, he gets suspended like a game or two. But neither here nor there. The other
Somebody
news
from the Raiders, like somebody from the Raiders.
The other news, or Dante Stallworth a couple years back killed a guy, and he lived to see another day and play in the league again. But anyways, other news that happened before we get into the AFC North: the Dolphins they got suspended, or their owner got suspended a couple weeks for tampering. They forfeited 2 picks, including a first-round pick in the upcoming draft. Supposedly they were trying to get Tom Brady to come over and play quarterback, be part of the ownership group, also get Sean Payton in the mix as their head coach, all while they were trying to tell Brian Flores to tank games for an extra $100,000 a game, which they said was not meant to be taken seriously. That actually came out in the report that the owner came out and said that those were just comments made on the side and just meant to be taken in a joking manner. Is this more news to you guys since we actually saw some picks forfeited and owner suspended?
I mean, just like when you thought things were looking up for Miami, they get to a couple years ago. They have these new receivers now. You thought they were going to do well, and then yet another story. And it's like an off-season story too, which kind of makes it even worse. It's not like something that's going on during the season, but you just have a lot of front office crap going on. It's, last year with the Brian Flores thing, now this year with this. When your front office can't get it together, that's just going to trickle down onto the players, man, because they're going to say, our owners aren't even doing good, so it's going to trickle down to us, and I think it's just bad all over for Miami. But it's Miami, tranza maybe.
Do you guys think Brian Flores will coach another game as a head coach, or do you think he's done after this whole Miami debacle?
No, he definitely gets another job.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
so.
They have to give him a job, and you know why they have to give him a job. I don't really want to say it, but that's just equal opportunity employment. That's. I mean, he's got to get another job just for that reason alone. They're not going to Kaepernick this guy.
He's currently with the Steelers, and I mean, under Mike Tomlin, somebody like Mike Tomlin that would take him in. Mike Tomlin is that type of guy. He's pretty established. Like my boy Joby says, there's been more United States presidents than there's been Pittsburgh Steelers coaches. So they hold on to their guys. Their head coaches hold the weight. The 2 coaches that I've seen in my lifetime, they've held a lot of weight for the Steelers. They're a team that has their shit together. They brought Brian Flores in. I could see him coaching a year or two there and then getting a chance somewhere else.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I saw some people saying that he might be blackballed for, ratting on the owner and saying that they paid him to tank and not being a team player in that sense. But hey,
I see that angle, but man, to be honest with you, like the tanking of games, I don't think it sits well with any owner. So at the end of the day, it goes both ways. You know what I mean? Like for an owner to tell his coach to tank is, I'm sure there's other owners who have done it and that we just don't hear about it.
100%.
But 100% it's looked down upon. I mean, there's just no way that they're all in that room saying, okay, like, no.
I mean, they do it in the NBA. Why not do it in the NFL?
For sure.
That's true. Well, without further ado, let's get into the AFC North. I just wanted to start off with some news, and some pretty big headlines had broken, including something that has to do with this AFC North division. Deshaun Watson, they got his ruling in 6 games, but that has since been appealed. So I'm just bringing that up because the odds that you're going to see throughout this presentation, or throughout this presentation, I got my school lingo on there, throughout the podcast, are odds that were made as soon as the ruling came in. So these odds are taking into account a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson, which right now is under appeal. And the word is the NFL is going for a full season or an indefinite suspension for Mr. Watson. But let's get into it. We're going to start there with Mr. Burrow, the guy pictured holding that AFC Championship trophy. They were the class of the division last year. From worst to first, they finished 10-7, 5-4 at home, 5-3 on the road, and 4-2 against the division. Interestingly enough, they got swept by the Browns last year. Don't think that's going to happen again this year, but thought that was interesting. Made it all the way to the Super Bowl, lost 27-24 to the Rams. Great season, 8 games decided by 1 score or less, 4-4 in those games. So they held up pretty well. Not too many close games going their way, though. You look at their schedule here, going into 2022, the big question surrounding the Bengals, for me at least, is this the beginning of the Joe Burrow era in the AFC North, or was last year a fluke? Are they going to be able to sustain the success that they had last year, or is there a little Super Bowl hangover in store for the Bengals? You look here to their additions. You look at what they did in the draft. They addressed some defense with their first pick. And I can't tell what the second round pick, what his position was. 2 safeties to start off the 2022 NFL draft. And then you look at their departures, though. They lost their left tackle, who they replaced with Lyle Collins, who's listed above. And they lost CJ Uzomah, which I don't think they're going to miss too much, seeing as they have a pretty potent offensive attack. And then you have Larry Ogunjobi, who's actually went over to the Steelers, a little division transfer there. You look at their props for 2022. I just wanted to list out their props from last year because it's pretty drastic when you look at the numbers from 2021 to 2022, where they were at before you got into the season. To win the Super Bowl this year, they're plus 2,200. Last year, they were plus 8,000. So Vegas is expecting the Bengals to be a pretty solid team for years to come. And who's to blame them? You got that core of Burrow, Mixon, Chase, T. Higgins. You throw in Boyd there for a game or two to bust off. How are you guys feeling about the Bengals this year? I led with, is this the Joe Burrow era, or was last year a fluke? What side do you guys land on? Ben, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, it's hard to go against Joe Burrow just because that swagger that he carries himself with, and usually players that feel that way, it translates to the field. When they get going, they get going. Like you said, this could be the trend. I don't agree with the transferring of the guard. Maybe in this division, not necessarily the whole AFC, because Mahomes and Josh Allen are still there. But man, isn't there always a Super Bowl hangover for the losing team? And looking at the odds, I expected, maybe a little hot take, the Bengals to miss the playoffs. The odds aren't even that good on that. Plus 115. You know what I mean? They were just in the Super Bowl. You'd think you were getting pretty good odds at no to miss the playoffs. it seems like it's going to be one of those this division. Do they get 3 teams in the playoffs or do they not? I think that the Bengals, this is up for grabs, bro. I don't feel safe saying, that they'll make the playoffs. I don't, because I have a lot of questions about their defense. I do. I know in the playoffs they played really well. Can Eli Apple, repeat what he did last year, my boy Eli? And even their schedule, when you look at it, I mean, the Cowboys week 2, going to be a big test for both teams. I think both teams are either going to be really feeling themselves after that game or not, whoever wins that one. So they got a pretty in the middle schedule, in my opinion. They end the season pretty rough with the Bucks, Patriots, Bills, and Ravens. It might come down to that last month of the season for them. Even the Chiefs and Browns in there. So they have a tough second half stretch. They gotta rack up as many wins as they can in the first 2 months of the season.
What about you, Ron? I see you with the Lombardi there in the background. Do they have a Lombardi trophy in their future, or are you buying a little Super Bowl hangover for them too?
Talking to the fantasy champ here. If you guys want to refer me to that from now on, I appreciate it. No, but these are the fantasy trophies from a couple of leagues of mine. I had to bust them out. But I'm high on the Bengals again. I think, like Ben said, before their bye week. I mean, I got the Cowboys colors on, but I mean, I can see an undefeated first 9 weeks, in the first 9 games for the Bengals there. Now,
what's the total for that game, bro? Bengals and Cowboys, week 2.
It's got to be in the 50s, a 52.
High 50.
52 to 55.
No, not high 54.
55.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 55.
I'm just worried because we have no wide receiving cores right now, man. But regardless of it, going to the Bengals, I don't think last year was. You can say it was a fluke because it was unprecedented. We didn't expect that from them. But when you break it down and you see their play and you see all the numbers, they played like a top-notch team. So I can't say it was a fluke because they got lucky or anything like that. They went out there and they balled out and they earned it. They earned their Super Bowl trip. Beginning of the Joe Burrow era, hell yeah, man. I definitely think so. I said it last year, all year. I'm in the pocket like Burrow. He blew up. He was winning fantasy championships for people. He was hitting bets for people. This guy was the god last year. I think it continues into this year because he's just so matured, in my opinion, for, a second, third year quarterback, kind of like Lamar. He's established himself well as one of the younger guys, clearly. So I think the Bengals do make the playoffs easily. I don't remember what the bets were, but I mean, I'm willing to reach. I'm willing to reach that they get to the AFC Championship again. Sprinkle a little on them, to win the Super Bowl. I mean, we covered some AFC teams already, and that we weren't too confident about. So I mean, the AFC is not that it's there for the taking for them, but they're going to be in the top 2 teams regardless, in my opinion.
Okay, all right.
Is that Diego?
Ron is bullish.
Yeah, Diego, is that line fishy to you to make the playoffs? The team that won the division minus 135? Yes, to make the playoffs?
Man, it's hard to say because the AFC has so much competition right now. Like, for example, if they don't win the division, I don't think so, bro. Because you got the Chargers, you got the Raiders. One of those is going to be
the AFC West is stacked.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much there. That's why I'm hesitant. But to be completely honest with you, man, the Bengals – I think they get a lot of their confidence from their quarterback. When you look over and you got a second year or first year, now third year, right?
Yeah,
quarterback that just looks so, calm, man. It passes along to the team. I mean, I can tell you for one, I'm way more scared of playing Burrow than I am Lamar. That's for sure, any day. Good and point. That's because, I mean, of course, the Ravens are a better organization overall in the sense of positions and stuff. But the Bengals, man, they've come out to play and they've beat the heck out of us the past year. They beat both the games last year. They beat us bad. Yeah. So I don't know, man. And let me say one more thing. Can you go back one slide? That is a clean uniform, sir.
And they're busting those out. That's actually a real jersey this year.
I know. And what I'm trying to say is you got a guy who's calm in the pocket. You're feeling good. You're looking good. I'm scared. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, for me, I think the Bengals are going to be in the mix. I don't know if they'll win the division again just because I think the AFC North is pretty strong. I mean, the Steelers are expected to have a down year, but they never really have a down year. They're still a tough out when you think about it, and who knows what's going to happen with the Browns, but they should be in the mix. I'm not as bullish on them as Ron is. My whole thing with the Bengals last year, and I mean, they burned me in the playoffs because I bet against them. I think when I had the Chiefs and they ended up beating the Chiefs, but I thought their offensive line was going to do them in. Joe Burrow got sacked 51 times in the regular season last year. They did address that, getting Lyle Collins, so they can protect Joe Burrow a little bit better this year. I don't see why they can't stay in the mix because I just don't know if that's a long-term recipe for success, having your quarterback go down 50 times. I think they were kind of winning in spite of that. Might have not been as repeatable, at least for me this year. That's why I'm not willing to say they're going to win the division.
How many wins you got them pegged for, Roman?
I got them pegged right around 9 wins this year. I'm a little bit higher on another team in this division, but I have them right around 9 or 10. I'm not willing to bite on that over or under 10 though, because I can see them getting to 10 and then with a push. But path to 11 is really hard, especially when you look at their schedule that you were talking about earlier. Anybody willing to take a prop here, Ben? You were talking about to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I just don't like the value at plus 115. I thought that it'd be higher. The one thing that I will say, Joe Burrow to win MVP.
I was looking at that now.
What is that going to take, though? It's going to take, 12 wins, maybe? How many wins is to win MVP?
I'd say 14, maybe.
Maybe something just to win the division, 11, 12 wins, I think. But he's going to have a monster year. I mean,
I don't like the odds on any of these, man.
Yeah, it's a pass for me, honestly.
So let's move on from bets because it doesn't look like anybody's willing to put their foot down and bet on something here.
Oh, for sure, me to make the playoffs. To make the playoffs at minus 135. Hell yeah, dude. How are you going to not put this team to even make the playoffs now that they're extending another couple teams in the playoffs, too?
We'll put that down.
I think there's more value in to win the AFC North then, in my opinion. I feel like
they're not even the favorites to win the
because if they make the playoffs, you're thinking that they got to win.
They got to win the division. Yeah. That's what I agree.
You had Wally in the comments saying he thinks that the Bengals win the division. So that might be a way that he's looking as well.
I got too much respect for the Ravens to say that.
Trash. Go ahead.
One more thing. My bad. Could you go back to the schedule? So, see, before the suspension, they would have had to play the Browns twice with Deshaun. But now, since the suspension has changed, they might not see Deshaun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Deshaun got offered 12-week, $10 million settlement, and he declined it. Had he accepted that, he would have been back with one game prior versus Kansas City and then probably played them well. Now how it's looking, Goodell's mad, man. I don't know if they even see
him. They said they're going for a season or an indefinite suspension for Watson. So that definitely does change the complex here when you're looking at who's going to do what in the division. So definitely like
point, Diego.
Minus 135 to make the playoffs.
Diego came to pod today. Diego came to pod today, bro.
You look at these odds, like I said, the Vegas is expecting the Bengals to be a lot stronger this year. We're talking about Joe Burrow to win MVP at plus 1,200. We're going to switch gears here because last year, Joe Burrow in fantasy, you could get him at the pretty late rounds, pretty late stages, coming off a torn ACL, then news that he was recovering slowly, might have shied some people away from him, ended up being a steal. Right now, I looked yesterday on ESPN, he's QB5 consensus for them. Ben, are you willing to spend on Burrow in any of your drafts?
Yeah, he's going. You got to take him in about like the 5th or 6th round roll-in. And, I really don't like either I'm going to get the best quarterback at the beginning or I'm going to wait. So for me, the range where he's being taken, it's not the range that I normally pick quarterbacks. I think that he's a little overvalued. I mean, he doesn't give too much running the ball. Yes, they have weapons for days, but he's also in a tough division. So 5th round, I'm not down to take Joe Burrow.
What about you, Diego and Ron? Any biters on Mr. Burrow?
I'm chilling, man. In the 5th round, I at least want to I'm going to want at least try to get three running backs and a receiver at least by that time, so I ain't trying to, get my quarterback in the 5th, even though it is Joey B.
What about you?
Yeah, man. I mean, as far as quarterback drafting, everyone has a different philosophy. Similar to the tight end position, I think it's either you go early or you wait. I don't see how you invest in someone like Joe Burrow in the 5th round when you could easily get someone in the 7th or 8th who might produce the same numbers. And also a big part of that offense is Mixon. So I don't know.
Yeah,
you know,
that was going to lead me to my next question about Joe Mixon. Right now, he's about RB7 PPR. Everybody plays PPR now, so that's the ranking I was looking at. Ben, what are your thoughts on Mixon this year? Are you a believer?
Just real quick, Kyler and Joe Burrow are going like right in the same range. If you all were picking a quarterback in the middle rounds, would you go Kyler or would you go Burrow?
I'd go Kyler.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Burrow has such a nice throw, but when you have that running element, it just makes up for it in points. Plus, the names you can make with Kyler Killer is.
I would go Joey B, man. I was really high on Kyler when we did the segment, but you're just, I mean, in my opinion, you just can't compare. They're going to protect this guy a lot better this year, and he won't have to force plays as much. I think it'll be easier for him to score fantasy points, if that makes sense. You won't have to count on, Kyler, you're picking him because he has that, he can scramble and maybe get those touchdowns, So yeah. I don't want to risk that. I'd rather take the safe bet and go with Joey B if he was there, because I know I'm getting at least 18. Kyler can maybe put me 25, 24, something like that. But I'd rather stick with a solid, 18 points for my QB.
Yeah.
20.
I can't do either, like I said, in that round. But I would probably go Burrow also. Kyler last year, just bad taste in my mouth.
I would just go Kyler over just for the simple fact that I think he has a better path to finishing like QB 1 or 2 this year than Joe Burrow does. I think he has a bigger chance to pop, and I mean that's what you go for in fantasy.
Yeah, but as far as Mixon, right? Because we got to
Mixon. I was about to ask, are you a believer at RB7?
Yeah, at RB7, I'm passing on Joe Mixon, man. I've been a Joe Mixon owner in the past, and he'll have his weeks, but it's looking like it's more quarterback driven. It's going to be more quarterback driven for the Bengals, and he is that 3-down back. I mean, we can't name Joe Mixon's backup. I don't think any of us can. Maybe Roland can.
Ryan. Okay, Roland. That was him last year.
Okay, so I mean, he doesn't have a very good backup. It's his workload. It's one of those rare cases, which is why he's still RB7. It's not RB by committee, although he has one of the more elite quarterbacks. I'm not touching Joe Mixon this year, bro.
The thing with Joe Mixon, I mean, I know I'm talking back with Kyler Murray and the Joe Burrow situation, is that when you're on the 2-3 yard line, that ball's going to Mixon. And in Kyler's circumstance, he could just tuck it and take it off.
Connor was scoring a lot of touchdowns last year, though.
Connor was a monster.
That's true. Connor
and in the receiving game.
Yeah, Connor was going
anybody
Ben gave you a
Joe
fantasy
Mixon?
slapdown, Lee.
Anybody?
I mean, Kyler tucks it and takes off, bro. From the two,
he does.
Easily.
He does.
Easily.
But are any of y'all going
time.
Joe Mixon second round?
No.
I mean, it depends. If you're drafting at the back, I mean, maybe. I mean, who would you rather have?
Aaron Jones or him?
Aaron Jones.
That's tough. I'd probably
go
Mixon over
I'd
Jones.
go Mixon also.
Yeah, I'd go Mixon. Okay, my question was going to be, would you rather go Mixon or DeAndre Swift?
Mixon,
just because he's on a winning team.
Also. Yeah.
Also, you kind of have to say that if the Bengals do beat up on those teams where it's like, they're up by 3 scores, they're not going to throw the ball as much. So, he's a guy who could get some targets just because they're so ahead in the on the score. Some rushes.
All right. And finally, I'm going to finish it off with, probably the most talked about position on this team that has a guy that's currently going in the first round in most PPR drafts. Wide receiver, Jamar Chase, wide receiver number 3, and T. Higgins, last I checked, was wide receiver 10. Are you guys buyers at any on any of these guys at their current ADP? Or would you rather have one or the other?
I'm a fan of going receiver early this year, and Jamar Chase is somebody that I'm trying to pair up with somebody like Debo or with somebody like Stephon Diggs. You know what I mean? Where the rankings are at, it's Cooper Kupp, it's Jefferson, and then it's Jamar Chase. He's at number 3. So do you all agree with that? I mean, it's changed a lot. Tyreek Hill and Adams were guaranteed, in the 1, 2, 3 spots.
That's right.
So it has changed a lot. I know Kupp is a consensus number 1. Do you all prefer Jamar Chase? I mean, Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson? Or would you still take a guy like Adams or Tyreek over him?
To answer your second question, no. I have Jamar Chase over those 2 guys that you just brought up at the end. But I do agree with Justin Jefferson over Jamar Chase right now. I like Justin Jefferson. I think that Vikings offense is going to take a step up. I think they have a new offensive coordinator. Somebody new's calling the
They
plays.
got rid of Zimmer.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what Justin Jefferson can do. Man, for as much work as he did last year, there was a lot of points left on the field for Justin Jefferson this past year. I had him,
Because
so I
he's
was
got no
watching most of his
quarterback, dog.
games.
He's got
But
no
still,
QB.
despite that, there's a lot
like
of points left on the field. So I like
So-
Justin Jefferson.
The way I look at it is like, yeah, Chase has the better quarterback, by miles, but he also has Higgins, he also has Boyd, he also has Mixon.
Yeah.
Over there,
What
it's
about
just
Boyd, man?
it's just kind of Thielen, Cook, and Jefferson, and we saw Jefferson be that explosive guy for them, and Thielen kind of be that possession/red zone guy, because Thielen in the red zone still very dangerous, but Jamar Chase has the better quarterback throwing to him, but there might just be too many targets where he's going to be very big play reliant. What do y'all think?
I'm a real big wide receiver 2 guy. If I could get a real solid wide receiver 2, I'll skip on trying to get a wide receiver
So you
1
like
and get
Higgins?
like a running back instead. Right. So I like Higgins. He won me a lot of games last year. Also, I was a big Mike Will guy, with the Chargers. So I like these, Fuller was another guy early when, he was with Nuke. So I'm a big wide receiver 2 guy. I would wait and get Higgins and pass on. I mean, obviously, if Jefferson's there, late, I'm going to grab him, but he's probably going to be gone early. So I would rather, my strategy would be to make sure that I get Higgins instead of Jefferson.
Okay.
Chase.
I like that angle, Ron. I like that angle. I mean, to answer, to bring more context to what Ben was saying, Higgins got 110 targets last year. Chase got 128, still led, but Higgins at his ADP, if I can't get Chase, like for example, like I'm picking at 12 in one league already. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get Chase. Maybe I can grab Higgins or something. I do like Higgins at wide receiver 10.
He's somebody to like target, I would say. And then the Jefferson, man, it's crazy that we're saying we're not going to take Devontae Adams over, those
Chase,
those guys. Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, the guy's a freak, but I don't know, Ben. I mean, if your quarterback over there in Las Vegas is going to be throwing them the rock, then I guess we should take him.
All right. Anything left on the Bengals before we move on? All right. Well, let's go on.
Just that they're going to ball out again.
All right. Let's go on.
Clean uniforms
to second place, to a team that might surprise some people. I know it would have surprised us based on how we broke down the AFC North last year. We were not high on this team, but they found a way. Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, one last ride. Finished second place in the AFC North, made the playoffs. They went 9-7-1, 6-2-1 at home, at the place known as Heinz Field. Not Heinz Field anymore. I don't know what they changed it to, but I know it's not the ketchup company anymore. 4-2 against the division. Another interesting tidbit, they swept the Ravens and the Browns last year. They had 2 dramatic games against the Ravens that was included in those 11 games decided by 1 score or less. 8-2-1 in those games. That includes the tie against the Lions. I think it was 16-16. Went to play overtime, still couldn't score. But anyways, 8-2-1 in those close games. Very, very good record for them. I mean, Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, you're going to win some close games. You look at their schedule for 2022, and the question going into this year is, how are they going to do without Big Ben? Some people will say, hey, it's addition by subtraction. Big Ben was holding them back last year. He was barely standing up. I mean, he was sacking himself on a couple of plays. I mean, he was tripping over himself in the backfield at times. It looked bad, but old reliable, got it done. Like I said, for one last time, and they were able to get it done last year. But again, you look at what they have coming in this year. Miles Jack, they brought over from the Jags. They got Mitch Trubisky, who's going to be replacing Big Ben.
Maserati Mitch.
He's going to get the first go at being the starter. But he does have Mr. Kenny Pickett right behind him, the number 1 pick, the hometown guy, the Pitt Panther. Mr. Fake Slide himself, Kenny Pickett, was the first quarterback taken at number 20. He's supposed to be the guy, but he's going to be battling it out with Mr. Trubisky to start his career. 2nd-round pick, sneaky pick. I think he's the guy pictured here. George Pickens, wide receiver from Georgia. I think he's a burner. Everybody's expecting big things from him. We all know the Steelers' track record with drafting receivers. You look at their departures. We just talked about Big Ben retiring. Juju Smith-Schuster finds himself with the Chiefs. And there's a couple of guys that are free agents now, like Joe Hayden and Ebron, who haven't been brought back yet, or at least to my knowledge. And then you got Trey Turner and James Washington, who both ended up in the NFC East. Diego, take us through this as we look at these bets here. Are you willing to say that the Steelers at least get 7 wins this year? That's a pretty low total. What's your outlook for the Steelers this year?
Let me start off by saying that everything I say here will come with some biasing because, well, it has to. But I'm going to try not to. Listen, yes, last year the Steelers were like, what was the record? Like 9-1 in one possession games. That's usually like the number one sign for regression. I watched all those games. It was painful to watch, man. I mean, there's times where Deontay made it happen. I don't know how. The Steelers play like this. First down, 2-run yard by Najee. Incomplete, punt. Najee 2-yard run, incomplete. Najee 2-yard run, punt. I mean, the whole game. And somehow they won. It's not going to happen again, realistically speaking. Now, I don't know about touching the under and over 7 because of Mike Tomlin's never having a losing season,
correct, yeah.
Trend. I can say it from experience being a Steelers fan. Man, they are a great organization. They might not be competitive to the max at all times, but they just know how to handle themselves in situations. Being a PSG fan, I understand how important it is for that to be, man. Like, the Steelers get respect whenever they go play. Even if they're not playing their best ball, you know what I mean? They get that respect. But regardless, I don't see how they get. I mean, if we get 8 and 9, I'll be happy. 9 and 8, I'll be happy, and that's pretty sad. So I wouldn't touch that. To win the AFC North, no chance. I thought the odds were a little bit worse, the plus 1,000. To make the playoffs, no, I don't think we're making the playoffs. Not in the AFC. Mitch Trubisky to win them, take that off.
Just had to put that on there.
Hey, so
I know Ben likes Maserati, Mitch.
Yeah, I do. So what's up with the QB competition? Who are you backing? Who do you want to be your guy? Wally. Shout out real quick. Let's just shout out the comment section because we do have a pretty active comment section. So shout out Gabe, shout out Wally, shout out Josh. Mondo was in here earlier also. So shout out everybody in the comments with us. But for the Steelers, I mean, like Roland said, they use their first round pick on the hometown kid. There is people who always like the rookie to come in and start right away. I'm a believer in Maserati Mitch. All right, I am. Yeah. He comes from the Bills. He's got pedigree. He learned under Josh Allen, and Matt Nagy is no longer his coach. So I have some faith that he can move the ball.
I mean, it's a pretty low bar, right? I mean, Big Ben was not that good last year. You'd have to hope that Mitch Trubisky can be better than that. But
come on, you don't gotta hope. That's a given, bro. That's
let me ask this though. Okay, the defense, as you know, as a Bills fan, I mean, they shocked you guys week 1. That defense and special teams. That defense is gonna have them in some games. Who would you rather have in a close game? Big Ben of last year or Mitch Trubisky of 2022 in a close game?
Mitch Trubisky, bro, you're saying Big Ben of last year?
Yeah, that's the question.
Man, I would take all 4 of us over that guy, bro.
Ben, calm down. Ben, he made the games, man. I mean, I get it. Ben was a half man.
So, Diego, you're with
to say Bisky's clutch.
Comparing Trubisky to Big Ben last year is disrespectful. Hey, if that's what's gonna happen, then slam that under, bro. If that's what y'all think of Trubisky.
I mean, I don't think he's that bad. Look, from what I've been hearing in training camp is that they're rotating all 3 quarterbacks. We haven't mentioned Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, they said Mason Rudolph has a chance to win the job.
I'm not joking, man.
You better
I'm not joking. That's
you better tweet Myles Garrett, Diego. Take care of that shit.
I'm seeing the training camp tweets, and it's a competition. And I wouldn't throw Kenny Pickett in the first year. I'm a guy who's really high on Kenny Pickett long term, a little bit biased because I was there that weekend they won the championship with Pitt. The entire city loves the kid. Now, I don't know if that translates onto the field. I don't know. But the fact that he does have an environment that wants to set him up for success, drafted him in the first round, and hopefully give him a year to sit in the back seat and watch Trubisky throw picks before they throw him in there, I would want that. I would not want to throw him in at least till game 12 or something like that, depending on the record. But Trubisky's going to win
the bye week?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think it's like 11.
You see a lot of these rookie quarterbers if the season's not going well. It might be after the bye week. Shit.
Man.
I was like, I was thinking the Steelers could be 3-0, but that's the preseason schedule. Shit, if you started your season with those 3 teams right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think the Steelers are going to improve on their run defense? I saw somewhere they were ranked 31st last year. I mean, there's nowhere but up, right?
The Steelers' run defense was abysmal. I mean, it was horrible, man. If any of you watched the Vikings game, Cook walked into the end zone every single drive, bro. That run defense couldn't have been horrible, worse, to be honest. And that was the one thing that the Steelers have always been so good on, dude. Run defense. They always beat us over the top. We always got burnt shirt, but we always had those studs that stopped the run game and forced them to beat us over the top. I didn't see it last year. TJ was a beast. Cam Hayward doesn't get the respect he deserves. But that's definitely why they brought in a guy like Miles Jack to try to stuff that run game up. And I'm hearing a lot of good things about the linebacker room because of this hire, from Coach Brian. Brian Flores has really ramped up that defense. I've seen a lot of interviews of the players just saying how impressed they are, how he approaches the game.
Yeah, and you're not going to be tanking with him there.
No, and I mean, I love the guy, bro. I've always loved Brian Flores. I thought he was a good coach. I think Miami's a horrible place to be a head coach. You get guys coming in, getting paid money, going to Miami. Like, how are you going to coach that situation well? And then you got an owner telling you to lose games for $100K. Wink, wink. I mean, that's just not an easy situation to be in. So I really hope he comes in and tightens up that run defense. If the Steelers have a good defense like we've known to have, but with the actual run defense element added onto it, man, maybe Bisky could get us 9 wins, 10 wins. I don't know.
10. I heard a double digit over here. I like
Bro,
that.
I was about to say it's hard to see 8 on that schedule. That's just rough.
Ron, you've been quiet.
I said I'd be biased.
I see you have your pen in your hand. I hope you've been taking notes. You've been writing down some notes. What are you thinking about the Steelers this year?
No, man, I'm quiet because I never thought that I'd say this, but I think the Steelers are going to have a great year. I honestly really do, man. I honestly really do, bro. And don't sleep on Kenny Pickett. I think it's going to be a situation where Rudolph is out of the picture. Let's just get it now. Kenny Pickett.
You'd be surprised.
Kenny Pickett has already, it's a small. Well, it did happen, but it's a small rumor that he's going to be with the second team now for sure. So that'll put him in straight competition with Trubisky. And I'm not a Trubisky fan, bro. This guy is just a bust. He's a bust. That's his career. He's a bust. You have Kenny Pickett. Diego said the city loves him. The wide receivers that they still have, and the guy that they brought in is supposed to be an absolute monster. You still have Najee Harris, who's a solid running back, 3-down back. He's still young. He's still learning. So that offense can't get slept on. And when you have a defense that is actually winning you games, now, can they do that this year? I don't know, because they were putting the game in the defensive hands. Just like you said, it was always 3 and out because they knew the defense was so good. Now, I don't know if there can be that much of a scoring defense this year, but they're going to keep you in games. 7 to me is really low. I was looking at their schedule, and I think they at least get 8 because they're not playing a lot of great teams this year either. I think
so you like them to make a little run with the starting week 1, or not?
No.
Week 2, week 3.
I would push it back. I think they kind of get, I think they get kind of hit in the mouth early, but just like Diego said, that Mike Tomlin teams, they have a lot of grit. So they could get a win week 3 versus the Browns, maybe against the Jets. But when you have teams like the Dolphins, who I think we already know what's going on there, and the Eagles, who aren't great either, then you come back from your bye, you're rested, you go to the Saints. But you'll have win against the Colts, the Falcons. I see them beating the Panthers. So I honestly think 7 wins is easily a push for me, easily. So I would take the over.
I have them at 6 or 7 wins, maybe. I'm not going to take the under. I think it's too close to call. But do you guys like Mitch Trubisky more than Jacoby Brissett? You think Mitch Trubisky?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I
Really?
like Mitch Pitt more than.
Hey, bro, I can't wait for that Sunday when
Jacoby
Diego
Brissett.
hits the group chat like Ben.
Honestly,
I fuck with Maserati.
I agree.
Hey.
I agree with Ron to a certain degree. Mitch Trubisky, he's not gonna win you many games. I'm not too high on Mitch Trubisky, but I mean he has to at least be Big Ben or a little bit better. And this team is, they'll find themselves in a lot of games. But I would rather have Big Ben in a clutch situation, even if he's older, at a 1-possession game. So I gotta think some of those close games are gonna bounce against him this year, despite still having a Mike Tomlin. So I'm not in on the Steelers, but not willing to say they're going to be looking at the first round or the number 1 pick this year.
And don't say it's a reach for me, but look at the other team we just talked about. Young quarterback in Burrow. I'm going to say young quarterback in Pickett because I think he's going to be the guy. A 2-3 year running back. You got Mixon, you got Najee. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to be the Bengals, but the core of that offense is still young. And with guys on the defense, man, the Steelers could really put it together this year.
The defense has won us games, man. I mean, the first 14 games of the season, they were 8-2 and 0-5-1 whenever TJ wasn't a full participant. I really do think that.
You came with your TJ Watt stats. I like that.
Of course, sir, my friend. TJ Watt is the GOAT, my dude.
I like that little room
we need to respect. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, he really did make a difference in the games. Like if you were to go back and watch film, he's really the reason we were in these games. Him and Minka. Minka doesn't get talked about a lot anymore because they're not throwing to him at like much. They're trying to avoid his side, but that guy is a general, man. That guy is sending people to their spot, calling people out. And that defense, even though the run defense was abysmal, man, Minka was making tackles like a linebacker. I mean, hopefully they put it together and they get a good defense. And the thing with Ron saying is he's expecting Kenny to start. I don't think Kenny's going to start, man. I don't say he's going to start, but I mean, you're going to get a lot of boos if you lose the first 2-3 games, and then they're going to, the news media starts coming out with it. Is it time to just, put Kenny Pickett in? Trubisky, he's historically known to not be a great quarterback. I mean, hence it was with the Bears, but when teams don't win, bro, you get those boos when you have a young rookie quarterback sitting on the bench. Especially that quarterback, man, that was playing in Pitt. Everybody loves him. Yeah, for sure. If they play in the Browns, obviously without Deshaun, and he throws a pick, you're gonna hear everyone throw in Pickett.
If they lose to the Browns, and they go start off 0-3, Kenny Pickett talk is gonna be hot, bro.
Yeah, that's gonna start game 1, bro. The first incomplete pass Mr. Trubisky throws, you're gonna hear Kenny Pickett throw. First incomplete pass, bro.
I think a lot of the Steelers games were so close last year because of Big Ben. I mean, he played horrible, guys. Shit, honestly. And
it was bad. It was bad.
That's why the games were that close, though. We got to remember that. This guy was throwing balls into the dirt. He was fumbling. He was throwing interceptions that he thought he was 5 years younger. They were close games because of how bad he was. We got to account for that.
So, Ben, are you willing to take a play on the over-under 7 here?
I feel like I'm fucking forced into the over now, my boy Maserati Mitch. So put me down for the over, baby.
Let's go.
Okay. I'll put a 50 spot on the over. Fuck it. We're Steelers fans this year.
Okay.
$5.
Diego, are you adding on to that bet, or are you gonna pass?
You do it with the Blue Jays, Diego. You better do it with the Steelers. Take that.
I probably will at 7 just because I see a push at worst case scenario, and I want to be rooting for them. with a bet in hand. You know, of course, I'm gonna root for them no matter what. But man, adding a little wager always just makes it more exciting. Unfortunately, I think like that line with the juice has a lot to do with the fact that the Steelers fans back them a lot, you know, and they're a team that gets backed a
Steelers
lot.
fans everywhere.
I don't think that line would be. I mean, here's the thing. I've always said that if you're gonna be a really bad team, and like for example, if you're looking to play the Steelers under 7, I mean, I would go out on a limb and say with every other team, like they're gonna be a bad team. So you might as well try to take an alt line. You know what I mean? And with an over, that 7's the best I think you can hope for. I wouldn't look for an alt line. I'll take the over 7 out of all these. I'll take the over.
That's got to be the only playable thing on the screen, right?
Alt
on
lines,
the screen.
Alt lines. Over 6 is -280. Under 6 +225.
See, I like the under. If you think the Steelers are gonna be bad, you might as well take the under 6, my dude, because we're probably gonna lose 4. I mean, we're probably gonna win 5 if you're thinking they're that bad. And I think the value is definitely on that line. But another thing, man, I've been hearing so much about George Pickens, like not just from the Steelers people, like everybody that's gone around. If I don't know, man. Hopefully, yeah, that kid. I don't know. Rookie of the year.
So I'm gonna go on the opposite. Ooh, I like that. I should have put.
Hey, that means Mitch got a ball, baby.
Let me pull it up. But I'll probably take the under 7 here. I don't think they're gonna get to 7 wins. I think Mitch Trubisky is not gonna be. All right, I think he's just gonna be Mitch Trubisky. He's gonna be what he's always been, like what we've described from him, and they're gonna get off to a slow start. I think they will go to Kenny Pickett at some point. Maybe after they lose to the Jets or something like that. They'll go to the just gotta make it spicy. But anyways, I'm not on the Steelers. I'm not as high on them, but that does not mean they don't have some playable guys in fantasy football. They got Najee Harris, who last I checked is running back. Let me pull it up. Running back 5 in PPR. And then they got Deontay Johnson, wide receiver 16, Chase Claypool, wide receiver 45, and Freiermuth, tight end number 10.
I'm high on Muth.
You got,
look at all those weapons, bro. Look at all those weapons.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Deontay Johnson. I haven't been the biggest Claypool fan at all. Najee Harris. I mean, I'm honestly contemplating like Najee or Mixon, to be honest with you.
Najee has the volume.
He definitely has the volume, but both guys are bell cows for their team. One guy's just surrounded. One guy's just in a better scenario to Mixon. So I might even go Mixon over Najee, to be honest with you. The only guy I would touch is Johnson. Had him last year, high volume, real good connection with Big Ben. He was like a very high volume guy. 10 receptions, 11 receptions.
That was 2 years ago.
They were being thrown in the ground, cuz. Give the
guy. Deontay's first year or second year, he had like the most drops in the league, but he definitely fixed that, man. Deontay's that kind of dude that would catch it a 2-yard ball and somehow make it go for 30.
Plus, if you're the worst in the league, you can only get better, cuz.
And any worry with Deontay Johnson wanting a contract extension?
Yeah, man. I was reading into that. There was 5 wide receivers from his class. 4 of them already got paid. I think it's Debo.
He's starting to look to the side.
Yeah, man. And he was 4th on that list on receiving yards. So obviously that 5th guy got paid. He's probably looking at his agent. His agent's probably looking at him like, yo. I don't know. He's doing a hold-in right now.
But is he on their level? Who are the guys? I mean, you were mentioning.
I mean, Deontay's good, bro. I mean, I don't know about that good.
Ron says you were mentioning some studs.
So, like you mentioned, like Debo.
To answer the question, it's Debo, DK, Scary Terry, and AJ Brown all got.
I would say that he's on Scary Terry level.
Yeah, I would say Scary Terry.
Deontay gets loose, he's dangerous, guys. That's all I gotta say. I mean, think about it. If Big Ben, like y'all were so down on him, was throwing balls into the ground, and he still ended up with those many yards, like.
But he would throw it to him because he would force feed him.
Oh, Deontay was. I mean, Deontay was.
Maybe Mr. Trubisky doesn't have that connection with Deontay just yet. I'm not jumping to draft Steelers players this year.
I wouldn't draft Deontay, man. We got Claypool, we got Deontay playing right now, and a lot of talk is coming out of Calvin Austin, this younger kid that we drafted.
Yeah, from
He's a
Memphis.
speedster.
Yeah.
He's fast, man, and I think he will be getting a lot of those long shots. I don't know. I have yet to see him play, of course, but I'm really high on the wide receiver room, to be honest. I mean, hopefully Claypool starts acting like a man and stops, doing all his crap that he does. And if he does, dude, then it's going to be a heavy wide receiver room to the point where I don't know if I draft Deontay.
For that exact reason is why I'm going to be high on Najee this year. Big Ben, nobody was scared of him last year. So they were just stacking the box because they knew that Najee was the only answer. Ben wasn't going to throw it 5-10, more than 5-10 yards.
He benefited from that, though. He benefited from that. He got 94 targets.
He did, but it's like with the little dinks and dumps. But I think that all those wide receivers Diego talked about, and a possibility of Pickett going in there, or not Maserati Mitch, whatever, somebody who can move the ball down the field. Defenses will start to adjust a little bit, which will give room for Najee, which is still a younger guy. We just said he's a third down back. They could move. I could see them being a team that moves the ball, between the 20s, and then Najee getting a lot of work in the red zone. So don't sleep on Najee this year. I'm not, and he's somebody that I'm looking forward to getting as a running back.
Yeah, I'm big on Najee. Out of all the Steelers players, that's the number one guy I think actually holds his value in ADP. Everybody else, to me, I don't know. For example, I'd rather go with George Pickens or Calvin Austin. Homer plays. Hopefully they pop off. I don't know, wide receiver 3 flex fringe. It just depends. I'm definitely going to be looking at that because Mitch has been having a lot of connection with George Pickens. If you guys want to take some time to see some of those clips of this guy, man, he's catching crazy stuff. So I don't know if it'll translate to the field. You know what I mean? It's a big if, but if it does, yeah, man, I don't know. I think it's just going to be too spread out. I think Najee would hold his more value and maybe one of those receivers late,
Yeah, I think the only guy that I might be in play for here is Najee, if I can get him, maybe in the first round, depending on where I'm picking. Just to read off his stat line, talk about bell cow. Ben was talking about it. 307 carries last year, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 74 catches on 94 targets for about 460.
PPR god. Him or Austin Eckler? Him or Austin Eckler?
Not the most efficient way to get there, but I mean he still put up points just because of the sheer volume. To answer your question, Ron, I'd probably go Eckler over Najee.
Eckler?
I would have said Eckler before, but I'm hearing a lot of steam behind Eckler's backup.
That Isaiah Spiller
really well. Yeah, I don't know if that. I don't know, man. It's training camp, so a guy like Eckler, they're not going to risk him getting injured. You know what I mean?
True.
So they're going to be playing these kids, and he's getting these reps, and he's making good plays. Well, yeah, it's training camp, bro. No one's tackling yet. So we'll see. But I would go Eckler.
Handcuff Kenny Pickett.
Any parting shots for the Steelers, Ben?
No, just put me down for the over 7. Like I said, I'm going to put that in once the show finishes, and that's all I got as far as plays here.
All right.
I'll tell you, Ben. I'm going to say one more thing with what Wally said when me and Ron were talking about. Wally said that Tomlin wouldn't fold and put him in. I agree, man. I really find it hard for Tomlin to throw his first round draft pick in early. Maybe week 12, week 13, if the season's pretty much done, we see some Kenny Pickett action. I'm so excited for preseason, bro. Like, I have never been as excited for preseason.
Yeah, that looking prize,
man. Like, ever. Scary. I mean, bro, we got 3 quarterbacks. One's got to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, but they all have a chance to win the starting job. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
I would think that the Steelers would. I would think that the Steelers would be really high on young quarterbacks. Diego, being that your last one took you to the Super Bowl.
Of course, I agree. I know, and I came on and told my friends like I don't think they'd start a rookie quarterback, and look what happened last time, right? But, bro, it just I don't know. It has to work out in the process, and maybe Tomlin sees it and throws him out there. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say that if he doesn't start, we don't see him all season.
Okay, all right. Well, that was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like we said, they finished second place last year. Seeing that they can improve upon that in 2022 with a new quarterback. Let's move on to third place. We're gonna go off the field first before we get into this team and break down what they're about to do in 2022. They went 8-9 last year, good enough for third place. They were 6-3 at home in the dog pound, 3-6 on the road, 3-3 against the division, and they missed the playoffs. They also had a lot of close games, but they did not fare as well as the Steelers did. They went 5-6 in 11 one-score games. And their big addition, you're looking at them, it's Deshaun Watson.
The guy who's not going to play?
Yeah, you're looking at Deshaun Watson. They just handed down a suspension 2 days ago. They got 6 games from that independent arbitrator, but now the NFL has appealed the decision and they're going for a season. So like I said in the beginning, these odds that you're about to see, they are with Deshaun Watson playing the back half of the season, because I got this when the news came out that he was only going to be suspended 6 games. So a lot of these are currently off the board. You can't bet a lot of this stuff right now, but for just, playing devil's advocate, we can go ahead and just look at their schedule and just look at it as if, Deshaun Watson probably is not going to play this year because the NFL is appealing the NFL's decision. So the NFL, they're going for a season. They're probably going to get that suspension to go off. But before we get into it, do you guys have any thoughts on the suspension from Deshaun Watson? Are you surprised the NFL's appealing it? Fair or foul?
Oh, man. I mean, it's just typical NFL just wants to make their point proven, and these guys don't learn. The Ray Rice thing happened, and guys still did it. Robert Kraft didn't learn. These guys don't learn. So the NFL is going to continue to be a little bit more severe with these guys because they just don't learn, man. They're not going to make the rules, more lenient for them. And that means they're not going to make the punishment less lenient for them. I mean, dude, these guys I don't get it, man. Like massage therapists, like you could go get all the girls in the world to just come to your house if you wanted to. Like, why you gotta go to a massage therapist, bro? Like, there's a video of me and Khalifa in this guy's house, like playing basketball, like on one of those little like orange, like you hang from the door.
Rookie year in Houston, baby.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, but no, go to a massage parlor and get, accused of assaulting these women. And it wasn't even 1 or 2. It's like, 24, 25, like
24 cases, bro. That's it's way more girls.
I'll just keep going on my Browns real quick. Cause there's nothing for the Browns this year. Nothing at all.
You were high on them last year.
You took the words out of my mouth because of my boy Baker. I was a big Baker fan. You guys knew I was a Baker fan, bro. And they did Baker dirty after what he did for that city and that team.
Right up there with LeBron.
I'm all the way out on the Browns this year. I don't even want to talk about them anymore. They deserve karma is you know what, and that's what they get for, kicking Baker to the side when he took him to the playoffs finally. They want to bring in Deshaun Watson, and he shits the bed on him too. And now they have to deal with Jacoby Brissett, this, Roland probably knows the word, but this, the quarterback that goes from team to team to team. Trivia. Journeyman quarterback. There you go. So the Browns are going to be Browns this year.
You were very active in our group chats when the ruling came out. You were talking about, comparing it to the Calvin Ridley suspension. He got suspended indefinitely for putting in a little $50 parlay. What are your thoughts on the suspension? I'm sure you're glad. I don't even have to ask you if you're happy that he's going to get suspended for a season, but what are your thoughts on the suspension?
I mean, there's 2 things here, man. I just don't understand how they got to the number 6. I know because of the new process where Goodell doesn't make that decision. It's actually Sue Robinson, the new judge that was appointed by the NFL and the NFL CPA. Or CP, right? CBA. Yeah. That they would come up with something different. And the reason for that is because it's just a new process. Now, what I find the most interesting about this is the timing of other news. So Deshaun Watson 6-game suspension gets dropped. The next day, the Miami investigation gets dropped. The suspension for the Miami owner was 1 day after Deshaun Watson's suspension was supposed to end. So I'm wondering if the NFL kind of said, hey, let's see how they react to this before we even decide to send this to appeal. Because let's be real, Watson's is gonna make them money, at least in viewership, So the NFL is looking at that angle and saying, all right, let's drop the 6-game suspension or let's make it go out there. I don't know. And then let's drop the Miami news. And hopefully if the Miami news covers it, we don't appeal. But realistically, man, there was so much coverage on the Deshaun Watson case everywhere. Even the Miami news dropped. the Watson case, and there was serious people very offended by it.
He was kind of under the radar for a while, but then once the season started getting close to starting, the news started ratcheting up, and the lawyer made a couple of crazy comments about the legality of all of these things. And when you look at it, people will go and say, the keyboard warriors. I was reading that nothing happened to him criminally, so they can't. And I think, Diego, you're talking about that's part of the reason why he didn't get suspended longer, because there was no criminal case against him. So
the wording from the judge was it was a non-violent.
There you go.
So it being non-violent compared to whatever Zeke got accused of, I'm gonna say, and all these other people is that it was. Yeah, I don't agree. It was that it was violent.
Okay.
Now I don't understand how you can not have common sense here, dude. Like, if it was 1 or 2, okay, I guess. It's 66, guys. 30 got settled by the Texans. Yeah. 24 got settled by him. Personally, I think 1 is still pending to be settled. That's too many. And even the judge says that this is predatory, Yeah,
it was pretty crazy. Without getting into the details, it was pretty crazy what the court documents were reading and what the judge had to say. Kind of leads you to believe that the 6 games was kind of off based on what we know about what's occurred, I guess, in this case. But the one question I wanted to ask you guys is, just looking on the field without Deshaun Watson, does this team have any chance of getting W's? Do you think the defense can keep them afloat and keep them in some games, or are you guys just all out on the Browns, and we might as well throw, fantasy in there because it's really just Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to make this talk on the Browns quick, assuming Watson's out the whole season?
They have nobody to throw to regardless. So
I'm gonna plead the stand like Deshaun. I'm gonna plead the fifth on the stand like Deshaun, bro. I plead the fifth on this Browns team. I got 1 target, and that's all I care about with this Browns roster. That's
Who's your target?
Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt for his ADP in about the 6th round.
Running back 30.
Yeah, running back 30 for a team that's going to be running the ball a hell of a lot if Jacoby Brissett's going to be their quarterback throughout the whole year. So give me Kareem Hunt as my RB2. That's all I'm interested in with this team.
Staying far away from Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Ron said there was no one to throw at. I'm like, that's your boy, dog.
Yeah, but Amari Cooper with a good quarterback, man. If he has a bad quarterback and the injury concerns that come up every single season, it's just a no-go. Maybe if you had a good quarterback.
I like that Hunt pick because if Chubb goes down with an injury, that's
or even if their season's going to shit and they just say, you know what, Chubb, hey, on the back burner.
So
they let Kareem Hunt go.
You think Baker's a lot better than Jacoby Brissett then?
I think they're about the same.
I think Baker's better.
Oh, bro, Baker's way better, Ben. How are you gonna say?
I mean, they went 8
better.
and 9.
Get the fuck out.
They went 8 and 9 with Baker last year. So I'm just saying, if you think that they're not that far off from each other, who's to say they can't reel off 8 wins? Their total right now.
What's their schedule looking like?
It's gonna be a lot lower. It was at 9.5 before the appeal came in. So their schedule is up above. They got Panthers, Jets, and Steelers to start the season. Kind of some winnable games there to start the year.
What do you mean? I mean, that first Panthers game, Baker's gonna come out hot. But if they beat Baker,
I've never seen Baker come out hot in my life.
I mean, he's gonna try whatever he can do. That's gonna be at least his heart. He's at least gonna watch film for that one for sure.
I hope so. I hope so.
Where did they get their wins here, bro? I mean,
you think they for the first 2 games? No, they're for sure going to lose to the Texans. The Jets, that's a winnable game. The Falcons is a winnable game.
2.
No, they're not winning this, bro.
The Panthers is a winnable game.
This is a hard schedule.
That's
3.
So what's the no?
That's 3 with the Panthers.
What's the no to make playoffs with the Browns?
Yeah.
What's their total too?
No,
it was 9.5 with Deshaun Watson missing 6 games.
Oh, dude, I would have slammed that.
Minus 130? No, that can't be right.
That's with Deshaun Watson missing 6 games.
Okay.
This was
but with them missing 6, not the whole year.
I mean, he's technically still only missing 6 games unless you think that the NFL is going to win the appeal. you know.
I don't think the NFL would have put the appeal for it to be anything.
They're appealing themselves. They're
the whole year.
They're gonna win the appeal. No.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Here, this is tough. I would take the under 9.5.
Yeah, if your book still has the to not make playoffs or the 9.5, I would go on.
You gotta
might be off the board in a lot.
Yeah, it's off the board. That's what I was saying. A lot of these are off the board. You can't bet them right now.
Whoever had knowledge about the appeal slammed these numbers, bro. Like,
yeah, these were up until last night.
We should have. I'm kind of angry at myself for not even taking a little stab at these, knowing that the appeal had 3 days to go through. You know,
yeah.
I'm pretty upset at myself. Right
even with him, he's out 6, right? Even with him, he plays the other. What is it?
11.
Yeah,
it's
11.
A lot of games.
It's a lot way. And Deshaun makes a huge difference, bro. With Amari Cooper, that guy gets open. Man, I don't know. Deshaun is scary. That's one thing.
But what I'm saying is, okay, but look at their schedule. Even with Deshaun and Amari Cooper on there, look at all the good teams that they're playing, bro.
Yeah, it's a hard schedule, bro. That's one of the hardest schedules I've seen, to be honest.
I mean, the division schedule alone, and then you have the Bills, the Buccaneers, the Bengals again.
I mean, like you said, bro, it's the Panthers, the Jets, the Falcons, and the Texans. I don't see them winning another game.
Their schedule based on.
I think they can beat the Saints also.
Yeah, Saints if they mail it in. I agree.
I mean, they did well against the division last year. Who's to say they can't, surprise somebody and beat the Ravens or beat the Bengals? Now, I'm not saying they're going to do it, but I mean, it depends on how far off you think Brissett is from Baker Mayfield.
Their defense wasn't great. So.
Hey, don't they play 17 games though, or am I tripping here?
Oh, I there's some covered right there. Where it said, yeah, just slide that to the left. Oh,
I'd have to edit it. I think it's the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders and
just not an easy game. That's not an easy game. Yeah, I was just trying to see what the last game was. No, that's a tough schedule, man. I don't even know what the number's gonna be when.
Oh wait, no, that's the Commanders. That's the Commanders.
Commanders.
Oh, okay. And the last one.
DERS and Pittsburgh. At Pittsburgh. Okay. They finished the season at Washington, at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with the Browns, man.
Yeah, me neither.
Move on.
All right, enough on the Browns. Some people can say what's going on is kind of karma for getting Deshaun Watson and backloading his contract because they knew a suspension was going to come, so they backloaded the contract so it wouldn't be that big of a financial hit to them. But neither here nor there.
Well, real quick, fantasy. Are you getting Deshaun Watson?
Nah,
like handcuff, anything like that at all? Nothing. Like you'd rather instead of getting like a third string.
I mean, if he stays only out 6 games, yeah. But if we expect.
Well, we probably won't know that till after we do our draft. So you wouldn't like last pick of the night. Like, yeah, you're all drunk. You're like, give it to me.
Hey, when do we know the appeal decision? Does anybody know?
I'm not sure. I mean, they're probably going to drag it out a week or two.
I mean, I wouldn't mind getting them, bro. Instead of just getting like fucking 7 receivers. Right?
I mean, if he's marked as out and you can put him in the IR spot and you still have a COVID league, well, I mean, I guess.
No, none of that happening here. But let's move on. Let's move on to a guy that's going to be on the field for his team, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. They finished 4th place, much to our surprise. We were in on the Ravens last year. All was well for them until they hit a little snag with Lamar's injury. Finished 8-9, 4th in the division, 5-4 at home, 3-5 away. And what did them in? They went 1-5 against the division. They got swept by the Steelers. 11 games decided by 1 score or less, 6-5 in those games. I think that included a couple of 2-point conversions and some 4th down attempts that didn't go their way. But that's the game that you play when you're aggressive. You got to be aggressive all the time. That's what they say. So John Harbaugh, not going to fault him for doing that. Storyline, first to worst and worst to first again. They are the favorite in terms of Vegas betting odds at plus 160 to win the division. And my favorite question of the offseason, with all these guys getting paid, is Lamar Jackson going to get himself paid? I mean, isn't he his own agent? Him and his mom do the job together, something weird like that. Hopefully he gets paid, still without a deal, but he is not holding out. We got their schedule posted up right there. We'll get back to that in a second. You look at their additions. They did trade away Marquis Brown to get a first-round pick. They drafted Kyle Hamilton in the first round this year, safety out of Notre Dame. They added Mr. Mike Davis, the running back from the Falcons. They added Marcus Williams, the safety from the Saints. So they beefed up that secondary. And like I said, they lost Marquis Brown to the Cardinals and Sammy Watkins to the Packers. So some new targets for Lamar Jackson are expected to take over this year, like Rashad Bateman. See if he can carry the load for them. And you look at their odds this year. Vegas is expecting them to return back to dominance, maybe plus 165 to win the AFC North. Their total is at over under 9.5 minus 150 to the over. These are on DraftKings. I think I saw in my local today they were at over under 10. So it just depends what book you got. To make the playoffs, yes, minus 165, no, plus 135, and Lamar Jackson to win MVP. Guys, I'm just going to say it real quick. This is my pick to win the AFC North. I'm back on the Ravens bandwagon. I'm back with Lamar Jackson. He's still, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the division when it's all said and done, all facets of the game. They lost a lot of close games last year. I think some of those are going to bounce back their way. We're talking about the Browns being down, the Steelers being down. It's just them versus the Bengals, and I think they got it in them to take out the Bengals this year. So give me the Ravens. I like their season total at 9.5, and I like them to win the division. So what do you guys think? Are you guys as high on the Ravens as I am, or are you looking at me a little crazy?
No, Louis in here saying Ravens. Ben, can you speak on that?
Louis, we finally get to the last place Ravens, and now Louis wants to get all bravo. Bájale, Lou. Bájale. Now, this was one of those season win totals from the podcast last year that, like Roland said, was looking really good until Lamar went down. They did us dirty. Interesting to see Roland, not even hesitating to jump right back in. I mean, they have the coach. They have the system. This division, for the most part, besides the Browns, man, they have Marvin Lewis, even when he was with the Bengals, like they have really good structure. The teams in this division, Harbaugh's going to get it together. I'm with Roland. I'm with Lou. I really do like the Ravens. I mean, it's going to come down to injury for them. They're probably the most physical team in the NFL, and it ends up biting them in the ass with injuries late in the season because when you line up and run the ball as many times as they do, somebody's going to get hurt, bro. So I think it comes down to injuries. I like them to make the playoffs. Shit, I'll drink the juice. I don't mind drinking that juice. To make the playoffs, yes.
I like that. Ben's with me.
I'm not going to touch on any of that just because I think there is a little bit too much juice here. Minus 150 over under 9.5 to make the playoffs. Minus 165. I think those things probably happen, but I'm going to go with overall value here, and it's Lamar Jackson to win MVP because if he is going to come back like how Louis is saying, I mean, why not? He's a mobile quarterback. They always have the best chances. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the weapons that he has anymore. Josh Allen, who Ben says is going to be the MVP, or I'm sorry, Derek Carr, I should say, is going to be the MVP. But no, I mean, realistically, man, plus 2,000, I'll take them now. Don't sleep on J.K. Dobbins, helping them back there in the backfield. Also, we know they have a good system. It's just, I just, the AFC North, I don't like either because I think the Bengals are just going to be on this year, like I said earlier. So I would take the Bengals to win the AFC North. To win the AFC Championship at plus 1,000, I wouldn't, really take that either. So I think that Lamar could have a bounce back season from that injury. We saw Burrow do it. We've seen a lot of guys come back from injury and just destroy the league. So Lamar Jackson to win MVP is off of this board right here is probably what I would take. And shit, man, when those awards come out at the end of the season, you could be putting a little cash in your pocket at plus 2,000.
I agree, Ron. I don't see any value in to win the AFC Championship or to win the Super Bowl. I mean, to win the AFC Championship, you have to get to the Super Bowl. And if Lamar Jackson's getting to the Super Bowl, he probably had an MVP year. So I'd much rather get the plus 2,000 on Lamar MVP than the other two on top.
Nice. I like that.
Nice. And to answer Wally's question here, asking who his receivers are this year, looking at the depth chart, that is a question. I mean, it's always a question for the Ravens, though, if you really think about it, the way their team is built. But to answer the question, they have Rashad Bateman, their first-round draft pick from last year, and Devin Duvernay. And then, of course, I mean, they got tight end number 2, tight end number 1 last year, Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson's favorite target. So I'm drinking the juice on the Ravens this year. I think they're going to have a bounce back year. Like I said, a lot of those games last year that they lost just based off of decision making, and that's a lot of close games in the NFL. You're never no team is an easy out unless they're playing to lose and they're absolutely at the bottom of the barrel. So I give the Ravens to win some close games.
I like Louis' point too. I saw it randomly. It's crazy that he mentioned this player because I saw an article on him and he's like supposed to be a really, really solid tight end. So, I mean, you could do some damage, with 2 tight ends. And then
for that run offense, 2 tight ends being target makes a lot of sense, to be honest.
And then look at the schedule. It's 23rd in terms of strength of schedule. If you're looking at the 2021 win percentage, to me, they got 3 games that they can start 3-0 at with the Jets, the Dolphins, and
Patriots.
And the Patriots. Gets a little tough weeks 4 and 5, but then you got the Giants and the Browns to get right again. So I like this. They're matched up against the NFC South this year. I think there's some winnable games there. And I think that Broncos game, tough game, but I do think they get that at home. So toss-up game, of course, but I am with Louis. I like them right around 10 wins, maximum 12. But then again, this is exactly where I was sitting last year. So I'm getting right back to it.
Comes down to Lamar being on the field, bro. If he's on the field,
it's
pretty easy to see 10 wins with the way the schedule's looking. But if Lamar's not on the field with the backup, I don't know if you pull some of these out.
Does 10-7 win you the division, though? Is what I'm wondering.
Not with the Bengals in there, could.
That's what I'm saying. I think you might need to get to 11.
I mean, we said it. Yeah, to win the division, we said Joe Burrow would, it'd have to be like 12 for like an MVP year. So, I mean, winning the division's got to be around 11 games.
I mean, 10 games won it last year. Let's just remember the Bengals went 10-7 and won the division. So, just to keep that in mind.
There's 3 division games really late, man. So if Lamar's a little bit hurt, I don't know.
What's up with playing the Steelers back-to-back weeks, bro?
It's not back-to-back. It's not back-to-back.
That's 14
it's going
17.
side to side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they got a bunch of division games packed there in the back.
That's
they
what
got
I'm
the
saying.
Steelers, Browns,
there's
Steelers,
4.
Bengals.
Yeah. There's 4 games at the end. So if, let's say, Lamar gets a little hurt, and he's out there wobbling a bit, those games might go against him. Who knows? 2-2.
A lot of very games that you could just chalk up as wins though here on this schedule.
A lot, bro. A lot. I agree with Roland. Yeah. I think this is the team to
Giants.
win the division, in my opinion. And I have a lot of respect for the Ravens, man. I know
you like Lamar.
Day one, Lamar. Lamar is scary. I know we play him well, but Jesus Christ, that guy is something else.
Sounds like go ahead, Ron.
He get paid?
Not yet.
You don't think he gets paid before the season starts?
Oh, I thought you said if he gets paid. I don't know, man. That's a good question. The Lamar situation is kind of one of the craziest situations up to date, bro. Because he's so injury prone the way he plays that, man.
Not that bad. Like his injury, it's not that.
Yeah, he's not like Robert Griffin
that much.
But because it hasn't happened yet, guys.
It's not like Anthony Davis.
The way he runs and the way he plays.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm not wishing that, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying the way you look at it for me though is the team is built around Lamar Jackson. Like no one else can go into that spot and
gotta pay him
the way that he does. You got to pay him. You
got to change the whole system if you don't.
He won the MVP. I mean, I agree. You got to pay him. There's just not getting around it.
And the Ravens have already said they want to pay him. I think the holdup is now with these quarterback deals that guaranteed money, bro. Yeah. To go towards the way that he plays. I think that's where the holdup is with his contract because he wants to be a Raven. The Ravens have said they want him to be a Raven. I really think the holdup is the guaranteed money. Yeah.
We didn't mention this when we were talking about the Browns, bro, but that contract is stupid, bro.
Well, I said they backloaded it, but it is all guaranteed though, so definitely threw the market out of whack.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're
looking at somebody else in your division and say, "Hey, this guy went and just sexually assaulted all these women, and you gave him all this money,
and I'm an MVP,
and I'm on the field winning you games," how are you not going to guarantee me more money?
That guaranteed money hits different,
or about the same money, whatever.
This is like that Christian Kirk, not as bad, right? But like when Christian Kirk got paid, that's what started this wide receiver payment freaking down. Everyone just looked and said, "Look at this guy. Yeah. What the heck? Yeah. Why am I not getting paid?" And that's how this happened, bro. And like the Watson deal, I mean, It really comes down to that Lamar deal. You guys are right, but I mean, his mom being his agent, or what you guys say, or
Yeah,
he's his
something
own
like that,
agent,
or he's self-represented.
I don't
at
know
least.
if that's gonna play out in his favor.
Hey,
bro.
Mama always knows best.
If you all are the Ravens, are you fully guaranteeing Lamar's contract?
No.
I mean,
All
but
of
I
it?
give him
All of
more
it?
guaranteed than Kyler.
Yeah,
You
have
gotta,
to because
you
of
got,
the MVP.
you gotta at least,
have
you
to.
gotta at least guarantee him the same percentage of it. So like whatever Watson's money is, whatever
It's
percentage of that.
100.
It's 100%.
Bro, it's 100, bro.
Oh, that's what you
It's
said.
100, bro.
Yeah,
It's
that's
the
what we're
most-
saying. That's what messed
100,
everything
bro.
up.
That deal is
Yeah,
absurd.
that probably is a hang up, is that guaranteed money, and especially the way Lamar plays, I'm sure he wants some more guaranteed money just to ensure. In case he gets injured.
Fuck it.
Yeah, they should pay him.
You're not gonna win without him, so you might as well pay him.
My argument is, who are you paying on the team? Like, who on that team is taking so much of your cash flow that you can't pay him? Because he is your team.
Yeah.
You know, Bateman?
Brent Hundley, baby.
Who gives a
Brent
shit,
Hundley.
you know? Andrew, pay him and Andrews, and let's go.
Well, speaking of him and Andrews, those guys are potentially league winners in fantasy football. Lamar Jackson, since the day he came on, has been tearing it up in fantasy football. He finds himself at QB4 this year. Are you guys buying the bounce back? I know I asked the question about Joe Burrow. He was the other highly rated quarterback in this division at QB5 in fantasy rankings. Are you guys going to buy on Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I'm buying. I'm taking him over Burrow. I'm taking him over Kyler.
Yeah.
I think that it's Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, and then Lamar's got to be the fourth quarterback with everything that he brings, and he's being drafted after those guys. So that's where I start taking my quarterback with Lamar. And about the end of the 6th round, I'll take 7th round. I'll take Lamar. Give me Lamar.
Wait, what's his ADP right now?
He's QB4, so let me pull up his ADP.
I've been mock drafting on NFL.com, bro, and the order is Josh Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Kyler, Burrow, then Lamar, and Hurts.
Lamar Jackson is going in the beginning of the 5th round per this
I don't
calculator
know,
show.
man. It's because with Lamar, dude, it's all the run game, and the Andrews pass. I don't know why they didn't go and get a wide receiver, man, like Amari Cooper, some guy that gets separation, They needed a guy like that. They still can, but who's out there? Who's out there? Who's out
Antonio
there?
Brown. Antonio Brown. Once he gets off tour. He needs to get off tour first. So
Marquis Garza, OBJ.
He's on that
Antonio Brown's going to play the Steelers and go to the wrong sideline. Wait, the vato doesn't even know where he's at.
Hey, OBJ's out there
right now.
I love the guy, but nah. That's
Rolling loud.
Yeah,
all right. So you don't like Lamar this year, Ron? You're not buying Lamar?
Yeah, hell yeah, I'm buying Lamar.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, I took him to win MVP.
I take Lamar as my quarterback. I like Lamar.
So we all like Lamar in fantasy.
And how do we feel about Andrews? Is he guaranteed the guy taken right after Kelsey, or are we Kittle, Waller,
Pitts
before Andrews? No.
Nah, what about why am I forgetting his name? The San Francisco Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle, Waller,
Kittle.
Pitts.
I like Andrews at 2.
Pitts. What about Kelsey?
The Kelsey's number 1, bro.
So it's those 4. It's those 4, and then Andrews is 5th.
No, Andrews is who's the second guy?
Andrews right now. Yeah.
I think it's Andrews, Kelsey, and Waller and Kittle on a different tier. I don't put Pitts on that tier.
Not yet.
Not for me.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is like later drafting. I mean, I don't know where Kelsey's going. He's probably going on 1st round right now. Where's Andrews
that's
going?
why we're starting at
early second. Yes, is that what y'all saying?
Early second.
Oh, I get what you're saying now. Man, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Andrews. Seeing how he's really going to be the only target, and Lamar's obsessed with them. I take him early. And then just not have to worry about tight end. That sounds nice.
Ben, would you draft? Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
No, sorry. The routes that he runs, they're a little bit more Gronk-like routes. They're up the field more. They're not those typical 5 and outs or anything like that. And he's a bigger guy, so he can get you some yak. And after Kelsey, yeah, you got to go with Andrews, man. I don't see really anybody else because who's Pitts' quarterback now? That Ryan left.
Marcus Mariota.
Okay, see, so that's kind of not an option there. But yeah,
Mark Andrews, 107 catches on 153 targets, 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. Would you guys draft Kelsey and Mark Andrews and have them at tight end and flex, or no way?
I don't see it, bro, because then you're probably giving up on a good wide receiver.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either.
I mean, but with those number of targets, that's wide receiver stuff, bro.
You could compare Andrews to a wide receiver 3. Like you have your 2 wide receivers, and then you're like, oh, should I insert this 3rd wide receiver or put Andrews in? You're going Andrews all day. I mean,
but for the capital, you got to give up. I mean, you're taking Kelsey 1st round, Andrews 2nd round, and then what, bro? Like that's the start of your squad. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very tough start for me to do both. It's intriguing. Ben's thinking about it.
No, I saw somebody last year do Kelsey and Kittle rounds 1 or Kittle and Waller 2 and 3 rounds 2 and 3 Kittle and Waller.
Who do you take in the first?
You could start him at flex.
If Waller if Waller and Kittle are still there, like a little bit later, I'm gonna go with those guys. Easy.
Dobbins flex 3. Who else is there? Am I blinking out on the running back? Who's the running back?
Gus Edwards, but I think he's hurt, if I'm not mistaken.
Dobbins is coming back from the injury here.
Yeah.
I mean, I draft Dobbins pretty. I mean, where's he going? I haven't done any mocks, man. I need to get to it.
Yeah, Gus Edwards is questionable for week 1. Dobbins coming back from that injury. Those are really the options. Yeah. I liked Dobbins last year, but the injury didn't go his way. So, anything else to talk about on the Ravens? I know I said I'm on them to win the AFC North. That'll be my bet here. Lamar Jackson to win MVP.
Yes, sir.
Plus 2,000. Ben, what did you have a play on the Ravens?
Make playoffs.
Make playoffs.
I'm going safe.
And Diego, our special guest, do you have a play on the Ravens here?
If I had to take one, it'd be to win the AFC North at a plus 165, man. That schedule looks like they can do that.
So last year we were talking about the AFC North maybe being one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. I don't think they're quite that this year because we talked about a couple of other loaded ones already, but definitely an interesting division from top to bottom. Always a grinded out type of division. A lot of close games. Diego, what do you got to say?
What about next year?
Oh,
you're already thinking about 2023?
No, I'm saying, how do you think that division will be next year, bro? With Watson, Burrow, Lamar, that's gonna be
they'll have an argument.
Next year,
they'll have an argument to be the best division in football for sure.
I'm scared as hell.
You're scared of every quarterback except the Steelers quarterback because that's not good.
I'm scared of Lamar and Burrow, bro, to be honest with you.
I mean, Watson, you said earlier, too.
If Watson clicks it together, sure, next year, I think that division's hard, bro. It's 3 young dudes.
Yeah, but we're talking
tossing it out there. No, por eso, this year, it's not the best division. It's 2 teams that are in the race for it, which is why we're picking them to win the North.
And we've been talking a lot of fantasy. Ben, I know you were our faithful commissioner before you handed off the reins. I think Justin and I handled it on kind of like a part-time basis last year. Are we going to be doing any fantasy, any fantasy football this year?
Yeah, definitely doing the fantasy league. I think that we're going to probably do the 12 teams. We can get more people in it. Rick, the defending champ, got his Debo jersey. Had lunch with him today, and he said, "Bro, thank God that I'm able to wear this Debo jersey," and they paid him because if he would have gotten dealt right after I had gotten his jersey, that shit would have been horrible.
That would have been bad.
Why didn't he get Kittle's jersey? I would have gotten Kittle.
Debo, bro.
Yeah.
He won him his fantasy title. So yeah, we will be bringing back the fantasy football league for sure.
Yeah,
will you take over as commissioner?
I will. The reins were taken from me. I'll gladly take them back.
All right, we got to put some money on it this year. First year was like, we're nice, we're gonna get a gift, but hey, this year it's fucking on. Bro.
I like the jersey though. That's a cool idea because I mean, shit, I need to get myself a Cowboys jersey.
The jersey and some cash, at least.
Yeah, $20 nice. Entry, and the winner gets the cash in the jersey.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll do that. Or first place, yeah.
All right,
winner take all. Okay.
All right, well, it's been a fun evening. We covered the AFC North. I think next we should probably talk about the NFC South or the NFC East. We'll probably jump back into the NFC regardless, though. But it's been another fun Wednesday with you guys, and we'll be back next Wednesday.
Peace.
Good boys. Thanks for having me. One love.